In the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City, the world saw one of the greatest world records of all time in the men's 100 meters. Now for this race, Jim Hines from the United States broke a barrier that for many years, many thought would never fall. And for this race, he broke the 10-second barrier in the men's 100. With a blistering clocking of 9.95 seconds, Hines wrote his name into the record books as the first athlete to ever break 10 in the 100 meters. What a legendary moment. This was such a huge breakthrough in the sport of track and field that many thought that Hines would forever be remembered as the fastest athlete of all time. And it's notable to mention that he was not only exceptional on the track, but he was quite the athlete in the sport of American football, running faster than anyone else in history. Now, this world record was certainly a sensational moment in Mexico City, but looking at it from a historical perspective, it also broke a record for the longest standing record in the history of track and field for the 100, as it stood for a total of 14 years, 8 months, and 19 days, and it was only until Calvin Smith ran a time of 9.93 seconds in 1983 when it finally fell. For an entire generation and then some, Hines' world record stood strong against many of the fastest athletes to ever compete, and at 14 years, it was certainly one of the longest-standing sprinting records of all time. And even though this record stood the test of time as one of the greatest moments in sprinting history, we have just surpassed this exact barrier by the man himself, Usain Bolt. Now, back in 2009, Bolt broke the 100 world record with his staggering, earth-shattering time of 9.58. And if you're doing the math at home, you will know that this world record has just surpassed Jim Hines' record as the longest-standing men's record in the 100 meters. At 14 years, 8 months, and 22 days, Usain Bolt's 9.58 has now stood the test of time longer than any other 100-meter record in the history of athletics. And even if we go back before electronic timing, this record has still stood longer than any other record to go back even before 1900. Now, we've all understood that Usain Bolt is unquestionably the greatest sprinter of all time. He's got the records, he had the consistency, he did it at the Olympics and the World Championships. There was honestly nothing that this man did not do over the 100 and the 200 meters. But this new breakthrough as the longest-standing record in the 100 meters only further solidifies the fact that he is, in fact, the undisputed GOAT. Now, we have made many videos breaking down Bolt's greatness, and we also made a video breaking down the history of the 100 meters, and I would highly recommend you watch that to understand just how great Bolt's record was. But for now, seeing his record stand for such a long time, and also seeing it stand by such a huge percentage, is just something that we have never seen before. And recently we heard from Asafa Powell himself from Jamaica, who was also in the very race where Bolt broke the world record at 9.58. And he said that that record is going to stand for a very long time. If there was anyone that understood just how great Bolt's record was, it would be Asafa Powell, because Asafa actually has more sub-10 clockings than Bolt himself. But when Bolt was really at his highest powers, he was virtually unbeatable, and he was unbeatable by a massive margin. The reason that this world record is in fact so untouchable stems from two key facets of this race. First was his start. Now, this is an unofficial split, but it is published on various websites, as through the opening 60 meters, Usain Bolt split a time of 6.31 seconds, which is the second fastest 60-meter opening of all time, only behind Su Bingtian, who did a crazy 6.29 in the 2021 Tokyo Olympics. But given the fact that Bolt is so tall and so unexpectedly a great starter, this start combined with the fact that he achieved the fastest top speed in history in this 100-meter race makes this world record absolutely untouchable, in my opinion, right now. Now, when it comes to sprinting records, you will see athletes within 5/100ths and maybe 1/10 of a second. But this world record in the 100 doesn't even have a single athlete within 1/10 of a second, as Tyson Gay and Johan Blake stand tied at the second fastest athletes of all time at 9.69 seconds. Even at their highest performances, where they pretty much ran flawless races, they couldn't even come within 1/10. So Usain Bolt's 9.58 was truly a monster performance that we may never see matched for another generation or even two. At 14 years, 8 months, and 22 days, Bolt's 100 record is absolutely stunning in any way that you look at it. And I am actually curious as to how long you all think this record will stand. Do you think it'll reach 30 years? Do you think it'll reach 40? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'll come back and revisit this when someone does manage to break this record. That is, if YouTube is still around at that point. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, until next time.